I started by wondering, why was the generation that had received the most mental health, the most wellness tips, the most therapy, the most psychiatric drugs, the most frantic worry over their mental health and happiness, why were they so unhappy? Because they are. And why did they seem to have no interest in adulthood? Why didn't they show up to work on time? Why couldn't they be relied on? Why did they not want to form families? Why were they living with mom and dad in numbers we'd never seen? And they were content to do so. It's not like they were unhappy about living with mom and dad. They seemed pretty happy about it. So I kind of wondered why they weren't thriving generally, but I didn't think it had anything to do with mental health experts at the time because 40% of them have been in therapy, which is still the highest percentage we've ever seen, but it was less than half. So I thought it had something to do with the way they were being raised. Maybe they were raised more gently, and I sold the book to the publisher with that hypothesis. But then I attended a 3-day conference of public school teachers here in California, and it was all about the mental health of this generation. I thought, okay, let me find out what they're doing in schools. And what I realized was that schools were all playing therapist. Parents were reading the best-selling therapists, parenting books. And I started listening to the way they talked. And they never say they're shy. They say they have anxiety or social phobia. They never say they're sad. They say they're depressed or they have depression. And they never say, oh gosh, I have a bad memory. They say, I have a flashback. That's my PTSD. So I realized this was a generation flooded with what I call bad therapy. They are swimming in the language of psychopathology, and it's making them sick. An adult can say, listen, I know my mom shouldn't have said that, but I wouldn't call her emotionally abusive. An adult can say, look, I had a bad experience in middle school, but I don't think I have PTSD. And an adult can say, look, I've been with you for 2 years. I'm just as depressed. I'm sorry. I don't think this is working. A child can't say any of that. And a teenager can't say any of that, especially if she's angry with mom anyway, right? She's not going to say, I wouldn't call my parents toxic. That seems over the line. And when they've done research and they do that, with a control group and actually rigorous research, they have found that people who burn victims, first responders to catastrophe, breast cancer survivors, people dealing with normal bereavement have all left therapy feeling worse. Because sitting around once a week talking about your pain can make you feel worse. And the problem is we're doing this to school children every day. In school, their parents, their teachers, everyone is saying, how does that make you feel? How do you feel? Think about your feelings. Dwell on your bad feelings. And here's the thing. People might say, oh, well, they're asking about their feelings. It doesn't have to be negative. They could be asking about good feelings. Okay, that's true, but that's not how it works. Why? Because if you're going to have something like social emotional learning in school, where the whole point supposedly is to teach emotional regulation, well, if you talk about a time when you were happy, there's nothing to teach.